Reading quotes in life lessons is like delving into the wisdom of great thinkers throughout history. These carefully selected aphorisms have the power to enlighten and transform our lives. And who better to learn from than one of the most influential writers of the 20th century, George Orwell?
Serenity is impossible to a poor man in a cold country.
This quote highlights the harsh reality that living in poverty in a cold country can make it extremely difficult to find peace and tranquility.
It is a mysterious thing, the loss of faith as mysterious as faith itself. Like faith, it is ultimately not rooted in logic, it is a change in the climate of the mind.
This quote offers a profound insight into the enigmatic nature of losing faith, highlighting its similarity to the concept of faith itself. It suggests that the loss of faith is not a rational process, but rather a shift in one's mental state.
War against a foreign country only happens when the moneyed classes think they are going to profit from it.
This quote reflects a critical perspective on the motivations behind war, suggesting that financial gain is often a driving force. It encourages us to question the true intentions of those in power and to consider the impact of war on both sides.
The essential job is to get people to recognize war propaganda when they see it, especially when it is disguised as peace propaganda.
This quote emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and discernment in recognizing manipulative tactics used in propaganda, urging individuals to be vigilant and aware of deceptive messages disguised as acts of peace.
One is almost driven to the cynical conclusion that men are only decent when they are powerless.
This quote highlights the unfortunate reality that power often corrupts individuals, and it suggests that true character is revealed when individuals lack power and influence.
We have now sunk to a depth at which the restatement of the obvious is the first duty of intelligent men.
This sentence expresses a sense of frustration or disappointment in the current state of affairs, highlighting the need for intellectuals to reaffirm well-known truths in order to combat ignorance or apathy.
Has it ever struck you that there's a thin man inside every fat man, just as they say there's a statue inside every block of stone?
This quote presents a thought-provoking analogy, suggesting that beneath the surface appearance of things, there may be hidden qualities or potential waiting to be uncovered.
Perhaps a man really dies when his brain stops, when he loses the power to take in a new idea.
This quote emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and open-mindedness in one's life. It suggests that intellectual growth and the ability to embrace new ideas are essential for personal development and growth.
It is not possible for any thinking person to live in such a society as our own without wanting to change it.
This quote expresses a strong desire for change and implies that living in the current society is unsatisfactory for a thinking person. It encourages reflection and action towards creating a better society.
Adults are only less superstitious than children in proportion as they have more power over their environment. In predicaments where everyone is powerless, e.g., war, gambling, everyone is superstitious.
This quote reflects on the relationship between power and superstition, suggesting that as individuals gain more control over their environment, they become less reliant on superstitions. However, in situations where everyone is powerless, such as during times of war or in gambling, superstitions become more prevalent as a means of seeking control or hope.
I should say that it is a good rule of thumb never to mention religion if you can possibly avoid it.
This statement suggests that discussing religion can be a sensitive and potentially divisive topic, and it is better to avoid it altogether to maintain peace and harmony in conversations.
Here is something wrong with a regime that requires a pyramid of corpses every few years.
This quote expresses a critical perspective on the negative consequences of a regime that relies on violence and oppression for its survival.
We are in a strange period of history in which a revolutionary has to be a patriot and a patriot has to be a revolutionary.
This quote highlights the complex relationship between patriotism and revolution, suggesting that in certain historical contexts, the two concepts are intertwined and cannot be separated. It provokes us to question traditional notions of patriotism and encourages us to consider the revolutionary potential within ourselves.
Society has always to demand a little more from human beings than it will get in practice.
This quote highlights the disconnection between the expectations placed on individuals by society and the reality of what can be achieved. It suggests that society's demands may be unrealistic or unattainable.
In this war we have one weapon which our enemies cannot use against us, and that is the English language. Several other languages are spoken by larger numbers of people, but there is no other that has any claim to be a worldwide lingua franca.
This quote emphasizes the power of language, particularly the English language, as a tool for communication and influence in a global context. It suggests that the ability to speak English gives one a distinct advantage in certain situations, highlighting the importance of language proficiency in today's interconnected world.